What's up, YouTube? This is your girl Megan from the HoodAstroQ. Welcome back to my channel. To all of my returning subscribers. However, if this is your first time joining me on today, hello. It is here that we use information from celestial bodies to help us gather more information and a better understanding about our favorite celebrities, world events, but most importantly, our damn selves. So thumbs up this video, share with a friend, and subscribe to join the Astro family because you know you want to. So without any further ado, today I am coming to you guys once more with yet another celebrity birth chart reading, this time on none other than Britney Spears. So Britney Spears has made headlines recently, and this is because that she is supposedly in court. Okay, she's in the middle of some court proceedings where she actually came out and described that she has been under what she called an abusive conservatorship for about 13 years now at her father's hands. And this is something that I've actually heard for a while now. And it's what drove a lot of the movement behind like the Free Britney campaign. A lot of people on social media have been noticing that Britney is not really in control of anything, from her music to her, estate, to just a lot of different things. And it's always been alleged, for a long time that her father as well as her family control her. And today we're going to take a look at her natal chart to see if there is anything that validates these claims. All right. She said that her father did everything from drug her to force her to have some sort of birth control device implanted in her and all kinds of stuff. So let's just go ahead and get started and see what is the astrological explanation behind a lot of these claims that Britney is alleging. So Britney Spears was born December 2nd, 1981 at 1:30 a.m. in Macomb, Mississippi. And this actually makes her a Sagittarius sun, Aquarius moon, Libra rising. And the thing about Sagittarius as well as Aquarius is that these are two signs that intrinsically symbolize freedom, okay? Specifically, like the type of freedom that could even require rebellion, hence the Aquarius moon. A lot of Aquarius moons, depending on other factors, but a lot of these people are often placed in positions to where at some point or another in their lives, they're going to have to liberate themselves from their family. And to take it a step further, her moon is actually placed at the 12th degree, and that number 12 deals with victimhood and sacrifice. And when it is in the fifth house, our fifth house deals with our willpower, right? Our life force. Aquarius is also the sign of entitlement. The moon deals with the family. So you can look at this as her family feeling entitled to her, feeling entitled or assuming a certain level of dominance over who she is. And that could severely impede her ability to even identify with herself. You also have to take into consideration as well that the fifth house does deal with the entertainment business. And then her moon happens to be squaring that Chiron in the 8th house of Taurus. So you could look at that as literally her family feeling entitled to her money. And to kind of further that point, who naturally she has her Venus at the 25th degree of Capricorn, hands in her to that south node in her 4th house. The 4th house also deals with family. Okay, Capricorn south nodes come from many past life experiences and early life experiences where they could have worked really, really hard. And with her Saturn being in that 1st house of Libra, a lot of times this work is usually done on the behalf of like other people or for other people. So it's not like she's necessarily benefiting from it. But, Capricorn is also the sign of exploitation. So you could look at this as her being exploited by other people, specifically the family, even more specifically the father. Okay. Saturn deals with the father. Okay. And where a lot of that is also kind of tied into her ability to even access her own money, where her own money may not even really be her own. right? Where she's exploited and being this sort of like workhorse, work mule, slaving for coin, and where she has all of her privacy completely violated. And I noticed that in the hearing, that was a phrase or verbiage that she used when she was like, well, I just want my privacy back. Cancer North nodes are people where in this lifetime, they have to learn how to be more private. These are people who are going to want a lot more things for themselves. They're going to want to be a lot more domesticated. They want to find meaning outside of toiling and slaving and, doing the rat race. So you see this with a lot of other celebrities who share that Cancer North node, such as Beyonce, such as Wendy Williams. Maybe she's not a great example because she still very much lives in that Capricorn South node in terms of her being this super career woman. But, it's a lot of Cancer North node women who, even Nicki Minaj, who take time away and who want to focus more on their private lives and, starting family and having children, which, to my next point, she even mentioned that her father had her take like some type of birth control method that prevents her from having more children type of vibe. So, I thought that was kind of interesting. And the fact that she also has, her South node, okay, as well as that Venus squaring her Saturn and Pluto in the first house of Libra, it could deal with where there's a lot of outside interference, not only to just like her business, her career, her money, but the fourth house deals with your womb as well. Okay. So, I thought that was very, very interesting. She has her sun at this 10th degree of Sagittarius in the third house, and it happens to be forming a semi-square to both Pluto as well as Venus. So the semi-square to Pluto could also deal with a very controlling father, once again, very domineering. And Libra deals with the courts, legalities. So you could look at him or look at this as him, once again, having his hand in a lot of her legal affairs. Okay. She even mentioned that a lot of these things like the conservatorship and things like that were court ordered and appointed, to which makes sense because her Saturn and Pluto are squaring the nodes. So literally, even her father, knowing somebody or there being some type of corruption or corrupt influence, maybe they know certain people who are able to make things happen, or where they're able to manipulate the legal system, especially with that Plutonian influence, to either like control her and to kind of do things that are going to favor them, or for him to do things that favor him, so to speak. Okay. Also, I noted that her Neptune, she has Neptune in the third house and with Pisces in the sixth house. This could be one of the configurations that could possibly point to mind control. Also, that 12th house Virgo moon happens to be squaring her Neptune, even further reinforcing this theme of where her mind is being under control. The third house deals with the mind, but so does that Virgo Mars. It could also even speak to where, on one hand, she may have experienced either substance abuse and things of that nature on her own, but to even kind of speak to the claims of her being drugged by her family, it kind of raises some suspicion in those areas and kind of validates her claims for that as well, because she has Aries occupying the seventh house, right? Aries on her descendant. And of course, the seventh house deals with open enemies. It could deal with just literally like other people, right? And typically like people who could have it in for you. And with it being placed in the 12th house and square Neptune in the third, it's like, well, yeah, where other people could assist in drugging you, or, other people are participating in, some form of mind control. The seventh house also deals with court disputes and legalities as well. So even where maybe her parents could have legally been able to justify having some of these things done, where, she would have to take and undergo certain treatment and medication. I think she also had to go to, court mandated therapy sessions. and things of that sort. And that's also indicated when we start talking about that Saturn conjoined to Pluto in the first house. Also, she has that Jupiter at the first degree of Scorpio. That number one deals with the father. With it being conjoined to her Pluto, that's another aspect that could deal with her having a lack of freedom, her being restricted. And once again, with her being a Sagittarius sun and Mercury, as well as that Neptune there in the third house, freedom is everything. Once again, freedom is everything. And aside from the fifth house, the third house is another one of those houses that can deal with a person's ability to have a certain level of willpower and control over themselves. So if a lot of these planets are afflicted, it could point towards where there's something kind of off with that. And in Britney's case, absolutely so. With her Saturn squaring her nose as well as that Venus, it could deal with him, once again, restricting the access that she has to her own money. So I definitely get that. And I noted that there is a cardinal T-square that's happening here involving her Venus, as well as that 10th house Cancer North Node, and then her Pluto, which is in the first house of Libra. And it speaks to where, these are people, and especially in Britney's case, she's going to have to enact a lot of that Aryan seventh house energy, where she's going to have to rely on that Aryan seventh house energy to really stabilize this T-square. And the way that she can go about doing that is doing exactly what she's doing now, fighting for herself. Aries in the seventh house deals with nasty legal disputes. And it also makes sense why they chose to kind of keep her doped up, because with her Mars being so watered down the way that it is in the 12th house, squaring Neptune, it's like it's a way to kind of keep her from owning and accessing that energy, okay? Even when you consider that Aries is also in the 6th house, the 6th house is another house that could deal with medication, right? So having the ruler of the 6th house in the 12th like that, squaring Mars, that's being drugged all day long. That's being under the influence of something. And like I said, this could be voluntarily in terms of her maybe having an issue, an addiction problem, even mental health issues. Even with her sun conjoined to Mercury like that, I think it's very plausible that she could have mental health issues, but it could be taken to a whole nother level or extreme, especially when we start incorporating like the 7th house and things of that sort. And that's where other people become implicated in this. And then the Saturn and Pluto conjunction in the first house, even as a Libra ascendant, a lot of how these people live, these people's lives are not entirely their own anyway. These are people who can, have a lot of, whether it's their personalities could center around other people a lot. A lot of who they are could revolve or need the involvement of outside people. So even with Saturn there, and as a Capricorn South node, this kind of takes that and it magnifies it and it intensifies the effect. So it's like, her father is always going to be interfering and is always going to kind of have his hand in whatever it is she got going on. And he's pulling the reins and controlling the reins and using the legal system, the law, to his benefit, right? Even with that first house Pluto squaring her Venus, like that's abuse. That's abuse of power. Pluto squaring the nose, the abuse of power, being abused by her family with this squaring her Cancer North node. So these are the obstacles she has to overcome. And if you ask me, her being very vocal about it definitely helps. Like I said, learning how to gear up and just do what needs to be done, which is fighting for your life. Hence that Aries in the 7th house, Aries on the descendant. That's the stabilized or the stabilization point of that T-square. And when it comes to cardinal T-squares, they require action. So sitting around and just kind of allowing things to happen and, it's not going to get you what you want. You're going to have to actively do something and initiate action. Now, her Venus is also squaring that Jupiter in the second house. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if she wasn't in control of her publishing, you know, because Jupiter is on that second house cusp. Jupiter is also the planet of publishing. And, you know, of course, in the second house, that could deal with, you know, just financially where other people are able to benefit from it and whatnot. It's just really sad. It's really sad. But she also needs to watch her back as well, because having Pluto squaring her nodes makes me very concerned, because, you know, it gives off this very sinister energy where I wouldn't be surprised, like, where, you know, these are people who are willing, or they're facing people who are willing to do anything in order to maintain that level of control over you, including kill you. And, you know, to make that even worse, she has her Neptune forming a quincunx to her North Node. And that is potentially a death quincunx, you know, so God forbid, you know, something happened where she had like a mysterious death, overdose or something like that. Like, she needs to watch her back. But that's also, when you think about it, kind of a part of that Aries 7th house energy, like protecting yourself, defending yourself from like other people. It's a strong possibility that she could even be estranged from her children as well, especially with that moon squaring her Chiron in the 8th house of Taurus. But also considering that semi-square that the sun is making to Pluto. So I don't know if that was another court order separation as well. And then when you take into account she has Leo in the 11th house also. The 11th house could also deal with estrangement. So there's a lot of interference that has been happening in her life. I mean, it's clear cut. It's clear to see. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video on that note. Y'all drop down in the comment section. Let me know what you think about her chart. What do you think about this entire situation? And yeah, make sure you practice unconditional self-love so that you can love others. And until the next video, I holla.